we're not going to talk Twins right away. Let's talk what was on everybody's mind. Everybody just because I picked them. I picked the Wild in 6. Everybody's picking the Wild in 5, 6. Even some people I heard on ESPN yesterday was 7 before the game, of course. I know it's going to change today for some people's minds. But 4-0. And yes, some of the goals were rebounds, but Cam Talbot didn't get the start. And I think that's what the question was. Was it going to be Fleury or Flower, as they call him, or Talbot? And he went with Fleury. I said Talbot because he's been there. I said he's been on the team, and I go to the Mighty Ducks with this one. I looked at the Mighty Ducks. They let the big dude who had been there, start off, but then at the hot time of the game, they brought in the Cat, and she came in and helped them win the shootout. And so I thought that could work for Fleury. Bring him in when there's a key time, but let Talbot start it out. He's been, the guy, your goaltender on the team. Is this loss a prelude to a breakdown in Minnesota sports, like the ghost of NFC North championships, missed field goals, bad beats on the basketball court, or is this just a kind of a hiccup and then they'll get it going again?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for that introduction. You're making me blush over here. And I can say the same thing about you. You are awesome, and it's been fun to kind of get to know you over the years. So thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Second of all, you just got huge points with me that you referenced Mighty Ducks 2, because that is my all-time favorite movie. I love Julie the Cat Gaffney. It's just one of the greatest moments in sports movie history. So that's awesome. Props to you. In regards to the game last night, I mean, I will admit that's not what I was expecting. I wasn't feeling great about a win just because this matchup is, expected to be so tight. The Blues are a great team. I was expecting a tighter battle. Yes, the goaltending topic has been quite the talker the last couple of weeks. It's been interesting on Wild Live to even speculate. We've tried not to because there's just no way to know. And it's like Dean Evison has said so many times, there's not really a bad choice. You just, you never know what's going to happen between the pipes on any given night. I think last night, though, it wasn't that Marc-Andre Fleury played bad. He didn't have a whole lot of help. I mean, when you're looking, on the score sheet, it says 2 power play goals, but really, let's be honest, it was 3. That one was just after the power play expired. No excuses. He'd be the first person to tell you that he should have had all of those saves. But I think that, when you look at the big picture of the game last night, there were a lot of things that needed work. Obviously, special teams is a problem. It hasn't been one of the strengths of this team all season long. But the other thing that was kind of glaring to me was the fact that you needed some of your big superstar guys to be your big superstar guys. We didn't see anything from Kirill Kaprizov. We didn't see anything from Kevin Fiala. I think Joel-Eric Sinek had a good, gritty, intense game. We saw him have some huge hits. He hit the post. We can also mention the post. I mean, the Wild hit 4 posts. That's just bad luck any way that you look at it. And Ville Husso was impressive. He did not look like a rookie netminder who had never played in the postseason before. I think a lot of people were having flashbacks to the last time we saw the Blues when the Wild were hot and had home ice advantage, and then they ran into a hot goaltender in Jake Allen. So I'm not too concerned. I think Marcus Foligno brought up a really good point last night after the game. It's the first game they lost. There's no reason to panic. Look at what happened last year. They went and played Vegas and they won game 1 and felt really good about things after the first game. And they didn't make it out of the first round. So I don't think there's any reason to panic. We've seen this team bounce back mid-game so many times this season. And yeah, they weren't able to do it last night, but it's a playoffs. There's no reason to think they can't bounce back in game 2. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. If this continues the next game, then maybe. But maybe this is just a wake-up call, realizing things that they need to clean up and get it done in game 2.
Yeah, and when you're looking at, like you said, the stars have to, step up. Connor McDavid, they were down, and then you saw Connor McDavid do what Connor McDavid does, which is just skate fast. Again, I'm not a hockey guy. I just kind of watch the highlights, and I'm like, man, that's kind of impressive, some of the things he can do with the puck. The stick handling, some of I hear the old fogies of hockey hating some of the moves these young guys are starting to do, like I don't even know what it's called, but you pick it up and scoop it and throw it in. So when you look at Connor McDavid doing that, who on the Wild has to be the Connor McDavid in this next game on Wednesday?
I think the easy choice obviously is Kirill Kaprizov because he does have the same type of skill level and star power that Connor McDavid has. But Kevin Fiala is a big one too. I've never seen a player have such an incredible streak that we saw from Kevin Fiala in the last 23, 24 games. Kevin Fiala, the way he stepped up his game, the last month or so of the season was just incredible. And we've always known that he has the ability to be a game changer. He was always called a game breaker when he was brought in here. We definitely saw that last couple of weeks. That needs to carry over into the postseason. And I know that's always a question mark with players. Just because you had a great regular season doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily be there in the postseason. But Kevin Fiala is such a great supporting cast member to Kirill Kaprizov. Those two are so dangerous that you have to get them going. However, you also can't just rely on those guys, right? If you look at some of the teams that have won the Stanley Cup over the last couple of years, yes, they have incredible talent on their top two lines, but you have to have your third and fourth lines stepping up as well. And obviously defense is a big part of it, too. But the depth of the Minnesota Wild has been, I think, on a different level this season than we've seen in years past. We've seen guys like Brandon Duhaime step up. Nick Bjugstad the other day with his first power play goal in a couple of years. That third line of Marcus Foligno, Jordan Greenway, and Joel Eriksson can be a huge factor in this matchup against the St. Louis Blues. So you need those guys to be those supporting guys and step up in potentially big moments. But yeah, I think the expectations for the Wild are that you're going to see the best friend duo of Matt Zuccarello and Kirill Kaprizov shine the way that we have all season long. And that second line with Kevin Fiala and Matt Boldy, the chemistry that they had instantly was something that you don't see too often with somebody as young as Matt Boldy. The fact that Freddie Gaudreau kind of gets overlooked on that line has been interesting because he's had such a great year that's kind of gone underappreciated, but that line would not be that line without Freddie Gaudreau. So, you need all of these guys to step up in one way or another. And the reality is last night, just nobody could. And I shouldn't say could. Yes, they ran into a hot goaltender. But you just didn't see enough of the playmaking and the difference-making type play that we got used to, especially here in the last couple of weeks when the Wild were the hottest team in hockey since mid-March. So, again, no reason to panic. You get those two guys, Fiala and Kaprizov, going in game 2. I think the Blues are going to have their hands full, and maybe they're going to come into this game being like, hey, game 1 was so easy. Maybe they'll, take things a little lightly in game 2, and maybe the Wild can make them pay for it.
Yeah, let's hope so. Because I don't think going down 2-0. I mean, I know hockey's different because you still control the game, you still have to skate. Basketball seems like down 2-0, it's pretty much over. And so that's how I kind of make that mindset. Let's switch over to baseball. I could talk. I do want to give you props though. I make Mighty Ducks references all the time. Like that's all I do. And people don't understand my jokes sometimes. And I'll bring up like, I hope Dee Nevison isn't over there with the blonde from Iceland, blah, blah. And some people get the joke. And, and I'm like, I imagine Dee Nevison coming in the locker room one day with slick back hair. And then all of a sudden he shows up with his Mighty Ducks coat on. And he's like, I'm back to the old me. And people think I'm serious. And I'm like, I hope you guys need to rewatch the movie because I love introducing my kids to it. Like my daughters like it now. They haven't gotten through the whole movie just yet. So I think one of these weekends when we're free, my plan is to get them to watch all like from Mighty Ducks 1 all the way through, even though some of them get cheesy. I even like the Disney version. Like, I don't know why. Like I like the Mighty Ducks. It's my hockey. That's the only hockey I know though. But going into the Twins, 14-9. And so many people were down on the Twins until this big time signing happened. You got Buxton with Carrera, and all of a sudden they're the Bomb brothers, and they're just knocking it out the park. They're exciting. They're making plays. They're leading the AL Central. But when you look at their next 28 games, and this is what's scary, the next 28 games are winnable. I mean, you got the Orioles, you got the A's, you got the Astros, you got the Guardians of Cleveland, now new name. You got the Oakland A's again. You got the Kansas City Royals. You got the Detroit Tigers. My Detroit Tigers, they suck though. But you got the Kansas City Royals again, and then the Detroit Tigers. So in those next 28, they can honestly go 14-14, and still have one of the best records out there. I'm not going to say they're going to go like 20-8 because that's crazy, but they can do it when you look at how bad the next 28 games of the teams they're playing, as far as the Orioles in the basement, Tigers in the basement. How good can this Twins be next 28?
Oh, it can be huge. I mean, just hearing you rattle off those teams. Yeah, this is a potentially really important month. I almost compare it to like a GPA in college.
Yeah.
When people tell you if you can start out of the gate in college with a really good GPA, then when your classes get harder and you may get a D or a C, okay, your GPA will take a little bit of a hit, but it's not going to do that much damage. But if you start college with a bad GPA, it's really hard to get it back up there. So if you're the Twins and you can take advantage of this month while you have, quote, an easy schedule or a favorable schedule, you have such a comfort and a cushion heading into later in the season when you do take on some of these tougher teams. And let's be honest, there's going to be other teams that may be off to a slow start right now. Look at the White Sox. I don't think anybody expected them to struggle kind of the way that they are right now. But if you can take advantage of this month, that's huge. And it's really weird still to hear people say the Guardians. That's probably going to throw me off the first time I work a Cleveland series. But I think the Twins, they've been really impressive. I'll be the first person, I'll admit I was right there with concerns about the starting rotation. You bring in a couple guys like Sonny Gray and Chris Archer, who obviously are proven veterans, but they've had some down years. Archers have had some injuries. And then you look at the young guys they have in Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober, and you have an interesting mix there. And you just never really know how it's going to play out. Well, here we are, and pitching has been the strength of this team, which I don't think a lot of people expected. So, yes, there were some concerns to see the offense kind of getting off to a slow start, especially with Carlos Correa. You bring him in here to be a big bat, and he was not that at the beginning of the season. But he's starting to heat up, which is awesome. Byron Buxton has been unbelievable. Thankfully, he only missed the one game after taking the pitch in his hand. But now that things are kind of starting to click offensively, and you still have this pitching that kind of came out of nowhere and has been so good, I think it's pretty exciting to see or to think about what this team could do over the course of a long season. But yeah, specifically this month, if you can walk away, winning a good majority of those games, that's going to be huge. Because even April, they ended April with a 12-9 record. It's not the greatest month we've ever seen them have, but it's one of their better months of April they've had in the last couple of years. And suddenly you look back the first couple weeks of the season when it was a little dicey. You end April feeling pretty good about yourselves. Well, now May could be a huge month. You just have to take advantage and hopefully stay healthy. It's always the caveat. But yeah, I think we could see some potentially pretty exciting baseball games on the Twins side. The opposition may not be the most exciting competition, but there's a big opportunity in front of them for this team, and hopefully they do take advantage of it.